Hello, and thank you for attending my presentation for Agricultural 120 Global Food Perspectives. My name is Maddie, and today I will be presenting my signature assignment on food waste. In 2050, the population is expected to reach 10 billion people. As of right now, we are currently wasting billions of pounds of food, and millions are still going hungry. In a world and our future where we have 10 billion mouths to feed, we do not have the infrastructure in place to make that future happen. It's simply not sustainable. And that's why we need to address food waste of today in order to get to hopefully less to none by 2050. There are several ways that food waste impacts our society, one of them being environmental. As of 2024, the most wasted food category was produce, and 27 million tons was sent to the landfill. When produce is sent to the landfill, it produces methane gas, which is about 20-ish times more toxic than CO2. In essence, it can take your head of lettuce that you toss up to 27 years to decompose versus putting it in maybe a compost bin where it spends a lot less time decomposing. It also impacts the environment because we waste the soil, water, energy, fertilizers, and labor that goes into harvesting and transporting all of the food for all of the people. And for all of that effort and energy to then be wasted and tossed to landfill just isn't sustainable. Another way in which food waste impacts us is financially. About 40% of all food waste in 2024 came from the residential sector, so households. And with that, essentially it's about $3,000 per average family of four, or $800 if you're a single, that gets wasted annually when you throw out your food or you discard it or you think it's past its best by date. All of that money contributing to the overall economic loss, if we multiply that, goes into the billions in the US and I think about $1 trillion worldwide. I would not want to see what that number would be if we were to take into account inflation if we made it to 2050. The next way that food waste impacts us is through hunger. As mentioned previously, about 1.3 billion pounds of food, 1/3 of the entire global food we produce, gets wasted. But we have about 800 million people who are experiencing food scarcity, starvation through poverty, and having food deserts, lack of access to nutritional food, and that's just not right. People have a right to access healthy food, and if we address food waste and we can get the excess to the people in need, we could make a world of difference. We have billions going to waste and we only have millions hungry, so that math check out. One may think about food waste as well through an ethical lens, possibly instead. If you're a utilitarian, you would see addressing food waste as a big win because you want the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of people. And that means getting the most people who are starving out of being in starvation. When we address food waste as utilitarian, it helps improve economic efficiency, reduces food starvation overall, and leads to better environmental impacts as a whole. However, if you're more of an egoist, you might find that change is difficult, which no one is to argue with. The society we currently live in is also very consumeristically driven when it comes to buying things and how our economies work currently. And lastly, the individual needs must be met. Whether that is the individual themselves or an individual business entity, everyone has profits or financials to meet, and who's to say that one shouldn't enjoy their favorite bag of chips even if they don't finish it? My personal belief is that we should address food waste. I stand with the utilitarians because if we're able to address food waste as a whole, then we will be able to actually be in a world where we have access to more sustainable and equitable, healthy food for everybody involved. But it does have to happen with the individuals as consumers who have the power through their buying power, and the corporations who are at the top of the food chain. We keep Walmart's lights on and we want to have a Walmart, sometime in the future, but Walmart also has to stand with us and make sure that we are provided for, because we can't give them our dollars if we're all hungry. And there are several things that you can do to make a difference when it comes to food waste. You are able to, on an individual level, plan out your meals, know how to handle your leftovers, try not to overportion, or if you do, then share it with those who are in need. On a community level, you can seek out your local food banks to help support those who do not have access to sustainable, measures of food. And on a larger scale, whether it's like state or nationally, can also look into policies that help support more sustainable agricultural practices and that address food waste. Right now, the EPA wants to try and get food waste down to, I believe, half of what it's currently at by 2030, and you can go to their website to look up the ways that they are working on that right now. Anyone got any questions?
I have a few questions.
Okay.
After produce, what's the next most wasted food?
It is processed foods, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between best by and use by dates. So often chips, cookies, things that come in bags, even like soup cans, like they get tossed out because people just think, oh, it's best by, like, see ya. But use by dates are the ones that are concerned, because they're the ones that, bacteria can develop in, like meats, dairies, those are things of concern. Following that, I believe it is dairy and eggs that get tossed out the most next, because people buy them and then aren't able to use them quickly enough. Anything else?
Yeah, another question. Of all the methods on that graphic, which one would lead to the greatest impact in reducing food waste?
I would say, from personal experience, probably addressing your leftovers, because I know I'm not very good at eating leftovers, but if you freeze your leftovers, or even take your scraps of food and like make stock, vegetable stock, chicken stock, steak stock, whatever you want, those are ways that you can get more bang for your buck for yourself, so that way you have more food to eat later, whether it is through the stock method or freezing your food, because I know not everyone wants to eat the same food night after night, or maybe things don't taste as good, but yeah.
And one more question. How much food is wasted in landfills each year?
As of 2024, 23 million tons was put into the landfill. So, and that's only increased in the years that we've been tracking it, since I think around 2014. There's a website, refed.org, that is a pretty great source for that.
Thank you.